Okay. Good evening and welcome to the Wednesday, January 19th, 2022 Special Board of Education meeting. The first item on the agenda this evening is to approve the agenda as presented. Do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda?
We have a motion to approve by Ms. Sullivan. Do we have a second? Second by Dr. Costa. Any comments, questions? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved as presented. The next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I will lead that, if that's okay. Sam, I know I keep asking you, so if you don't mind, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, the next item on the agenda is Education Services, Dr. Couch, and I see
Yes.
Ms. Jacomowitz.
Before I turn it over to Ms. Jacomowitz to do a presentation, I wanted to give the board a little bit of background. Superintendents were told that we cannot substitute virtual learning in lieu of a snow day unless it's approved by the MSDE, which is the Maryland State Department of Education. We had to wait until we had guidance from Mr. Chaudhary in terms of the state superintendent in order to determine what the criteria was for having our plan approved. We received the guidance over the weekend, and so we were frantically working. Well, actually, we weren't frantically working because we already had been putting together a skeleton in terms of what that plan might look like and already submitting a survey to our parents, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. So once we got the guidance, then we started putting everything together so that we could submit the plan for approval. And one of the requirements, and we'll talk about that, is having a discussion and reviewing the plan before the Board of Education and having an opportunity to share it publicly, which we're doing this evening. So I went ahead and submitted a tentative plan last night to the state superintendent in hopes that we could get a jump start in terms of that. Other school systems did the same thing. I know Talbot has a meeting tonight. Unfortunately, the state superintendent has not opened up any of the plans, nor is he planning on approving the plans this week. So if we do have a snow event tomorrow, it's not going to be a virtual day, it'll be a snow day. So I just wanted to clarify that for those individuals that are watching this evening, just to let them know that even though we tried to get a jump start and we were hoping that we could get that resolved fairly quickly, I do think the special board meeting tonight is going to at least put us in line, if you will, to get our plan approved as quickly as possible. So if we have additional snow beyond tomorrow, and in between it getting approved by the state superintendent, we're going to be in a very good position to get our plan approved. So with that, our purpose tonight is to go through the plan, talk about what we have put in place for that plan, and making sure that we follow all of the requirements by the State Department for the plan approval. This plan approval is only for this school year. So I don't know if there'll be any changes to that plan in subsequent years. We'll have to look at what the requirements are going to be for inclement snow days. I do know one of the requirements is that you exhaust all of your days that are built into your calendar, which we have already exhausted all of those days. So the next question is, if tomorrow is a snow day, because we don't have approval to do anything else but that, if tomorrow is a snow day, what happens then? Well, that's what we'll have to discuss at the next board meeting, because typically what happens is we add the days at the end of the calendar, or we request an opportunity to waive the days. The State Department will only waive the days for students. They do not waive days for staff. So if in fact we did request that those days be waived, it would be waived only for students if we were granted approval by MSDE. So I just wanted to give that background, just so that everybody is on the same page with regard to what we would do tomorrow and what we will do in the future, since we've already exhausted our snow days. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Jacomowitz, who's been working with our principals and our staff in order to come up with our plan that we submitted to MSDE.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, President Getz, Dr. Couch, members of the board, Mr.
Good evening.
Buckle. Tonight, we'd like to share with you our draft plan, seek your input and hopefully your approval as well for our inclement weather plan. As Dr. Couch mentioned, in anticipation of any additional snow days, what MSD has done is opened up a pathway for local systems to really repurpose these snow days as virtual learning days. They did set specific requirements, which are spelled out here in order for that to happen. Those requirements include 4 hours of synchronous instruction for all students. Attendance must be taken both for staff and students. Opportunities provided for make-up work, as well as the local plan, as Dr. Couch already mentioned, has to be presented at a formal board meeting, as well as posted on our website. As a district, we recognize that uninterrupted learning is really key, and we're prepared to offer remote learning in the event of inclement weather. All students will have devices, and devices that may be taken home in the event, and I think Dr. Costa asked earlier, and Dr. Couch already mentioned, but just to say one more time, this is not an issue at all with middle and high school. They take them home every day. But I have been working very closely with our elementary teachers, as well as Dr. Keene for special education. And we feel confident that the plan we have in place, we will be ready to send home devices with our elementary students in the event that we're able to anticipate that weather early on. Our tech supervisor has also worked with building leadership to address what we consider as equity. And that means that all students would have devices as well as hotspots if needed. So in order to prepare for this shift, Mr. Poore pushed out a survey, and the survey was one that really asked families to think about and respond to questions such as, do you have internet? Who is your current provider? Do you have a need for a hotspot? Did you have a hotspot during the interrupted learning last time? And then also, are you in need of a device? If at the elementary level, the question was asked, if we have a snow day, a virtual snow day, do you need the Chromebook? Or do you have your own? So they were kind of the questions that were on the survey. We are now compiling those results. What will happen next is the principal will review with each and every classroom teacher. Because as you know, the hotspots are purchased with federal funding. So we must be very mindful of the accountability of, if we offer something, we have to be able to get it back and track who's getting that device and is it really needed in that home as well. So there are very specific requirements. We can't just randomly hand out the hotspots.
Can I ask a question? Do you feel like you've gotten a good range of responses for what we did when we did virtual learning before?
In terms of the number of responses from schools, it has varied. We talked about it at A&S today, and what our principal said is some of them are going to push it out again.
Okay.
So the nice part, because we are small, our principals know family by family they can track, and we have 2 supports that are critical to this response. And one is a person that has been there forever. Our counselors work very closely with the school principal in child by child reviewing the needs for hotspots. But we also have a contact tracer in each building now, and that is another person our principals mentioned today. They've been incredibly helpful because it's a tedious task. You really have to go in and look at siblings and see, because if there are siblings in the family, they offer 1 hotspot. You don't get 1 for every child in the household. So again, it's detailed work, but it's important work.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
So if students have their own computers, they can use those and just log in, right?
That's right, yes, they can, because Schoology can be accessed. So they're able to get on there and just access it right through the website.
As long as they have their username and password.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that is something Garnett will tell you firsthand today. They are actually, that was very successful with everything that happened. They were able to get on, and today was incredibly successful for that school and for students in the school getting on and meeting with their teachers.
I
So,
saw some messages about that.
phew,
That's great.
yes. Not without a lot of effort and time all the way around. So we thank parents for their support with that.
Also dusting off the cobwebs and remembering what we did in the past, so.
Yes.
It worked.
When it comes to this virtual learning day, live instruction at the elementary level, of course, would be provided. And what you see here is they would not only be getting instruction from their teachers, but we want to specifically offer attention to social emotional learning. So they would hold class meetings. They would engage in both whole group and small group instruction, take movement breaks throughout the day, have time for lunch and, running out in the snow a little bit and coming back, and in the afternoon, they'd still have an opportunity to engage in specials, art, music, PE, or media. They would have a choice on that day. We were working with our principals and our fine arts team, and we were thinking, they gave me some good feedback as well. And they said, look, we don't have any trouble creating a lesson that would be available for K through 5. We just want to make sure we think through how we get it out and that we're not making it too hard for parents or children to get on and make that choice for the special in the afternoon. Middle and high school are pretty much in sync. They've been accessing Schoology all year long, and in the event of this type of day, they'd receive live instruction, and again, have some whole group as well as small group time needed. They would also be given time to work independently on assignments and projects, but we want to be mindful that they also, even though they're older, get time for movement and breaks throughout the day as well. Dr. Keene, as I said, has worked with her team and her special educators, and we are 100% committed to seeing that we do everything we can to provide special education as well as related services on these days. Today, Dr. Keene was talking about, in some cases, it's even going to be one-on-one, which is, it's interesting.
Would the middle school have their elective or specials, whatever?
They would follow their 4-period day just like they have now. So yes, if they have art, they would go to that during whatever period of the day they would have that.
Okay.
A little bit more about special education. All services would continue as indicated in their IEP. They would also meet both synchronously, and they'd have some assignments to do through supplemental materials. Both the special ed and general ed teachers, they collaborate on a regular basis. That will continue in preparation for a day like this. And if a child has a 504, they would also receive the appropriate accommodations as listed in their 504 plan. It's really, I think, very exciting to have someone on our A&S team now that has a focus in the area of communication, because it reminds everyone of the importance to have a plan in advance. So with the leadership of Mr. DeVillio, we've been able to think through what is it we need to do, and you'll see here that we would provide as much notice as possible at a minimum, inform schools and the community as it's feasible the day before an inclement weather day. Of course, we're not meteorologists, but we're going to do the best we can with what we have, trying to see if that is a day that we believe will be a bad weather day. The virtual inclement weather day plan will be posted on our website. I believe we put a draft out already on the website, Dr. Couch. We have one up there already. Again, we're waiting for your input and willing to make any needed changes as well. Our main website page, once it's approved by MSDE, we will have that final plan on there as well. Schools will communicate the weather day plan along with any school-specific details with their staff, their students, and families using a variety of strategies. Anything school-specific, any schedule adjustments, any messages would go directly through the school principal.
So just a question there. So the intent would be, I mean, as you mentioned, we're not in the weather business, right? So I'm just thinking this through. If we see this potential snowstorm coming, then there would be a preemptive communication out that there is a possibility that there could be an event. So just giving you a heads up, be prepared, it may happen. The
Correct.
final communication would happen in the morning
Or it could be the night before if we know.
If,
for a
if the,
fact.
deci- you know,
It would
I,
have to be even earlier than that, though, to get the Chromebooks home with the elementary kids.
No, because if we, okay, let's just say hypothetically, this event that's coming, potentially coming tomorrow, we would have already sent the Chromebooks home with the students in anticipation of that.
Okay.
And say it potentially could be
Yeah.
a snow day. And then the final communication would either happen if we started seeing the snow and it started snowing at 7 o'clock tonight, then we potentially could call it earlier. But if it's going to be early in the morning, and, you know, then we would wait and make that final communication that morning.
yeah, but the point of my asking is, though, it's just not a one-stop communicate once, which you guys are all on
Correct.
board on, so it's not,
Right.
it's not an issue.
So we may have them take them home, and they may need to bring them back.
Yeah, that,
if
well, that's
there's
right.
no
I mean,
snow.
it may be a non-event, but at
Yeah.
least
Yes.
we're all on the same page, that it's
Right.
not just a once and done, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, here you go. Okay, thank you.
How much snow do you have to have before you decide to close the schools?
There is no hard, fast rule about that.
Ice could be an issue, I mean, everything, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's
But
just,
not necessarily always when there's a little bit of snow.
no.
One of the other requirements is that we must take attendance, both staff attendance as well as student attendance. So we had a great conversation during administrative meeting today. Students will be expected to attend the live session to be counted as present. So notice there's an exception. A student, now you could have no internet access for a number of reasons in Kent County during a storm. If there is no internet access due to the location of their home with a hotspot, they will be marked present if they submit the missing work the following day. So in other words, we will have assignments that will be shared, and we will also be able, if we know it in advance, because there are some families, and I can give you an example, I believe there were some families in Gultz or somewhere where they just could not get that internet access. The teacher would know that, so that should not be a surprise, and they would prepare a snow day packet that they could take home along with their device, so they could still have access to both.
If, and I don't know if this would come up because of the short notice, but if there was an issue where they just couldn't get on at the time that
Right.
the live instruction is happening, are the conferences going to be recorded as well? So if a parent or somebody later can go on and help a second grader or a third grader at 4 o'clock in the afternoon as opposed to at 9 o'clock in the morning?
Right. Actually, Dr. Couch, I don't know that we addressed that
No,
today.
I don't think we addressed that just for a short period of time like that. I think it's really difficult to do that. We had to put in a lot of effort in order to record before, and I just don't
They
know.
won't be, the lessons, the live lessons aren't going to be recorded? Okay.
But the work will be available.
But the
So
work
the
will be
students will be able to make up the work that they missed. If for some reason they couldn't get it, they would be able to make up that. The most important message our administrators asked is just to please communicate directly with the teacher. If there is something, the school principal and teacher need to know if there is an issue with connectivity. This is the final piece of the presentation, and we just wanted to share with you what a day in the life of an elementary child would look like on a snow day, if we have an approved virtual snow day. So it would kick off in the morning with related service providers basically connecting with their students, and they would give services not only at 8 o'clock in the morning, but they would begin that communication, and they would schedule virtual services throughout the day. So as I said earlier, Dr. Keene explained to us, some of those may be small group or one-on-one with different students. At 9:15, there would be live ELA instruction, so students would log on. A portion of that would be the whole group, and then another segment of that would be meeting with small groups of students. The same would be in the area of mathematics. And one of the things that our principals thought would be very helpful is rather than having every class and every school with different schedules, we have one common elementary schedule. So in the event of a virtual day, here it is. From this time to this one, every K through 5 student in Kent County will have reading and then math. And then in the afternoon, they'll have a wheel of specials where they'll be able to choose to go in, and it will be the family and/or child's choice to either join an art lesson, a music lesson. They can join one special in the afternoon. And then from 1:30 to 2:30, again, we have related services that will be offered. We also have teachers that will be available for additional support, because the teacher workday is their regular workday hours. So they stay, available to their students and families, their regular workday time. And then principals have asked that we hold they got very excited about this, that in the event of a virtual day, they would like to have time to work with their staff. So they would like to close the day 2:30 to 3:30 with connecting with their teachers as a staff meeting or PLC meeting. Middle school, again, it looks very similar to what you would see in a regular day, other than an abbreviated schedule for their periods. So periods 1, 2, and 3, ending at 11:30. Lunch, everyone would have a common time, period 4, 12:30 to 1:30, and then that time for the staff to meet, or PLC, at the end of the workday. Same, and high school looks very similar to the middle school schedule. They would have their 4-period day. They would follow their regular schedule with the related service providers, scheduling virtual services throughout the day as needed. So that kind of gives you, it sure seemed to go by rather quickly here, but it has taken hour upon hour upon hour to put this together, because you have to connect with so many different departments to really make it happen. But we wanted to put a lot of thought into this so that it wasn't just fly by the seat of your pants in the event of an emergency or inclement weather. So with that, are there any questions or?
When I first reviewed it, I had a question that I sent to Dr. Couch, and I thought I would bring it up just as a point of clarification for anybody wondering. Because this is during inclement weather and not just a switch to virtual learning, we won't be providing lunches or meals. So I just wanted to make sure that that was understood by people as well.
Correct, but
No,
especially.
we don't typically provide meals on a snow day anyways, and it would mean that we would have to bring employees in to make meals and to stay at work on a potentially bad weather day driving on the road. So no, we would not provide meals on those days.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify.
Sure.
So really, this plan is specifically laid out for those days. We're trying to mitigate the effect of adding additional days at the end of the year.
Right.
We're trying to have learning occur. And it seems pretty simple.
And it's not intended as a long-term.
No.
Not at all,
No.
no. And we may not even have to use it. I mean, that's my
Yeah.
hope,
Yeah.
right? But at least we are planned in the event that we're hit with another storm like we were at the start of this year. I mean,
Right.
we don't want to have that happen.
Yeah, because we blew all of our snow days in 1 week,
Right.
Yeah.
which is pretty unusual for us.
It is unusual.
So Dr. Couch, just to reiterate, so we're not, obviously this is an action item for us, but moving forward, Superintendent Chaudhry he's not going to open these plans this week. He will probably systematically go through each of the plans next week, and then we would probably have at least another week and a half out at the earliest, or longer.
I have no idea.
Okay.
I've asked him to expedite it. That was in my email to him that I sent last night in anticipation of this snow event
Yeah.
tomorrow. But he's visiting schools this week, school systems this week, so I don't know, maybe in between, but I didn't get a response at
Okay.
all today, so tomorrow, if we have snow, it will be an actual
Right.
snow day.
And after we get approval from the state, the board still needs to vote on.
No, we're asking the board to vote
Tonight.
tonight.
Okay, okay.
That's what this is about.
Yep.
And then I will follow up with an email to him and say that the board approved the plan on January the 19th. Once the plan is approved by the state superintendent, then I would send out a letter to the families informing them of this plan, where they can find the plan, and the fact that this would, what we would notice in our Facebook page. We would call it a virtual inclement weather day. And the reason why some school systems are calling it virtual learning days, we didn't want to do that because for some reason, like in the case of Garnett, they're already doing virtual learning. I wanted to delineate the difference. So we are calling ours a virtual inclement weather day. So it's very clear that it's a virtual day in lieu of inclement weather.
Great.
And it looks like somebody did mention earlier that it is already up on the website. So I just wanted to let people know, under district news, if you go to the announcement for the special meeting and click on read more, you can also click on KCPS virtual inclement weather day plan and see that PowerPoint presentation.
Right. But it's not approved yet, so don't anybody think that we're.
That we're off
to- Right.
We're executing that as
Right.
of yet. It's just an opportunity for people to start planning ahead and looking at it.
Are there any comments or questions regarding the plan moving forward before we call for a motion?
Thank you for
Thank
all
you.
that work, and thank you to everyone that worked on it.
Okay, so let's go ahead and ask for a motion. This is an action item. The administration is recommending the approval of this virtual learning plan for inclement weather for Kent County Public Schools. Do we have a motion?
I move that we accept the recommendation of the administration.
We have a motion by Dr. Costa. Do we have a second?
Second?
We have a second by Ms. Sullivan. Any further comments or questions? I would just like to reiterate the amount of work that's been put in. It's very simple, it's very clear, but please extend our thanks for that. I mean, certainly, the way the storms are coming through, and it seems like I think we're supposed to get one tonight and one Friday night into Saturday, and who knows what that looks like. At least we're kind of moving it along, and we'll just wait for that. So just please extend my thank you, our thank you for that. Okay, we have a motion and we have a second. If there are no further comments or questions, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you
Thank you.
for that.
I would just like to know from our student board member, did you have any comments about the plan?
No, I liked it. My only concern, which was answered before I even, had to ask it, was, is the day going to still be as long, or is it going to get shortened, kind of like how it was before? That was the only thing I really was concerned about, because I know sitting in front of a screen,
It gets old.
especially, so I was glad that it got shorter. So yeah.
Good.
Great. Okay,
Did you
thank you.
want anything else?
No? Okay.
I'd like to do a reminder about the Citizens Advisory Committee meeting, which is, our first meeting is Monday at 5:30 PM here. And if any committee members are watching, we are working on getting an agenda out to you by the end of this week.
No, it's already on the,
Oh,
it's already on the
Oh,
notice.
okay, great.
It's already on the notice. We're required when we, because it is subject to Open Meetings Act, because it is an approved committee by the board, Ms. Manley already put the notice out. She's already sent it to the newspaper. Is it on our website yet? Okay, so it'll probably be on our website, hopefully sometime this week. And we went ahead and captured an agenda and put it on there.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. The next item on the agenda is the notification of our next meeting. The next monthly meeting of the Board of Education of Kent County will be held on Monday, February 14th, 2022, beginning at 5:30 PM with the open session. Open session will be immediately followed by the board members going into closed session. The open session will resume at 6:30 PM. This meeting will be located at the administrative building in the boardroom, this room at 5608 Boundary Avenue, Rock Hall, Maryland, 21661. The last item on the agenda is to adjourn. The administration is recommending approval to adjourn the meeting. Do we have a motion to do so?
Motion to adjourn?
We have a motion by Ms. Sullivan. Do we have a second? Second by Dr. Costa. Any further comments, questions? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none. Motion is passed. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.